Okay, part 2 of the training cheat sheet. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, go watch it. But basically, I'm holding your hand through the most bang for your buck, adherable things that come out of training. Out of training factors are just as important as training, if not more important. So we're going over the 4 horsemen of out of training factors to just basically make sure that you have no gaps or any holes in your out of training factors. Because if you have some weaknesses out of training, your training is not going to give you the results you want. Nutrition is quite basic, actually. It's very overcomplicated by marketing or people trying to make a buck from overcomplicating the fuck out of it, when in reality it's quite simplistic. Yes, there are some individual components that change from person to person, but for the most part, it's all going to be relatively the same. My goal with this section is just to get you so you're kind of flatlined. You have no holes in your diet, you have no weak areas, and then you can add on to that as you go. But to make sure that there's no problem areas in your diet, and most people have problem areas in their diet. So first things first is macronutrients, and this is quite a simple one, but people overcomplicate the fuck out of it, probably again to make a buck off supplements and shit like that. So first things first is protein, most important aspect of building muscle. Obviously, we need protein to help with protein synthesis and protein or muscle breakdown. Pretty obvious nowadays that really you need about 1 gram per pound of body weight, give or take. I mean, you could probably go a little over, a little under and be okay. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that even as low as 0.8 grams per pound of body weight is sufficient enough for optimal hypertrophy. Just to play it safe, just get that bang on even number, 1 gram per pound of body weight, very easy to calculate, or 2 grams per pound of body weight, or kilo of body weight rather. The only time you'd really want to add more than this is if you're on steroids, because you have increased protein synthesis, you have more muscle than the average person, in which case, yeah, I mean, guess so. But if you're natural, which you should be, 1 gram should suffice. And if you don't get quite a gram, that's okay. And sometimes you could sacrifice a little bit of protein. Let's say if you're on a Sunday and you're having a cheat meal, or maybe you're doing carb loading for the next day, that'd be okay. But just try to typically get 1 gram per pound of body weight if possible. So next one is fats, 0.25 grams per pound of body weight if you're in a deficit or a maintenance or just trying to lose weight in general. And then 0.5 grams if you are trying to bulk up or you can get away with that many calories. Very simple. You don't want to sacrifice fats, as you need fats for brain health, joint function, hormone health, etc. So the first 2 are non-negotiables. You need at least 1 gram per pound of body weight, and you need at least 0.25 grams of fat to have a functioning body that is recovering from training. Then after that, carbohydrates, as simple as you just fill in the gap with carbs. If you're eating 3,000 calories a day and you get, say, 15 to 1,800 calories worth of your food from proteins and fats, you then just fit the rest of the 1,200 calories with carbohydrates. Very easy, simplistic way of going about it. There's not much to it. You just get your protein, your fats requirement, calculate them first, and then fill in the gaps of carbohydrates. If you're in a cut, you're not going to be consuming that many carbohydrates, and that's okay. You need to keep the protein high, you need to keep the fats reasonable when you're a cut. And when you're in a surplus, you're going to get a shit ton of carbs, because you'll have plenty of calories to work with to allocate carbohydrates. So super simple with the macros. Get your protein, get your fats, and then just let the carbs fall where they may. So with that out of the way, consider that your diet has big fuck off potholes in it. A lot of people do. Whether you are like doing the extremely restrictive diet that fucking old school retard bodybuilders do, where you're like chicken, rice, and broccoli, bro, and fucking egg whites, and it's like, okay, cool, where's your micronutrients? What is your vitamin C? Where's a whole host of minerals? Where's your fats for hormone function when you're cutting out egg yolk and any fatty cuts of meat, etc., you're going to run into a lot of fucking problems, because you're going to be mad deficient in a lot of different nutrients. And you might be eating a decently well-balanced diet, but if you don't understand the different variations of foods that you need to get everything absolutely optimized, or at the very least at a minimum, then you're going to run into issues and you're not going to be optimized. So I would highly fucking suggest reading The Vertical Diet by Stan Efferding. It's stupid simple as fuck. It's really bang for your buck. It's really easy to adhere to. It just gives you a wide array of foods that if you eat them consistently, you will have no holes in your diet. You will have no micronutrient deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies, mineral deficiencies, macronutrient deficiencies if you go by the vertical diet. It's just super easy. And if you want to torrent it, I mean, go for it. It's like Stan Efferding's rich as shit now. But I would suggest go support the man and buy the book, because you won't regret it. It will teach you a lot about nutrition, but it'll teach you what you need to know, not all this extra fucking fluff and pump garbage. It's like the high intensity diet version of, well, like the high intensity training equivalent of diet. I just like super stupid, easy, adherable things. Hence why I like high intensity training. Hence why I like the vertical diet. Hence why I like hot, cold showers, because they're just really easy fucking solutions to problems that can get very complicated when you try to throw random fucking like esoteric pieces of information at it. So go read that book. A lot of things I'm about to now cover are based on that book's advice. The book's heavily peer reviewed by a bunch of nutritional scientists. And I mean, Stan's the man. That guy is so fucking reputable within exercise and exercise science, powerlifting, bodybuilding, etc. So go read the vertical diet. That would be my biggest piece of information. If you could take away anything from this, is read that diet, and your diet, most of the issues would be gone. And then once you've read the vertical diet and you've gotten the holes out of your diet, the kinks out of your diets, then you can add extra vril-inducing foods. You can add the fucking cacao powder, or you can add the fucking goji berries, or a whole host of Eastern mysticism fucking nutrient superfood foods on top of what you've already then based your diet off. But you need to make sure that your baseline is hit. It's like getting intensity of effort in the gym, and then if you want to add some volume onto that, if you can recover from it, then you do that. Same with food. If you can add a little bit of food on top of the vertical diet that you're not already getting in the vertical diet, they'll add more percentages onto your diet, go for it. Next one is water. Drink until you're mildly yellow. So water is super important, as you guys know, but I mean, people still fucking walk around dehydrated like retards. And especially if you're trying to lose weight, you especially want some water in your system, but you need to be hydrated. And the best way to ascertain this, the easiest way, adherable way to ascertain this, again, this whole fucking cheat sheet is about adherence, is just see if you're mildly yellow. Go piss. What's coming out of your willy? Is it fucking like black? You like drinking, you pissing black because you're fucking so dehydrated that your piss is fucking engine oil? Or is it like see-through because you just drank like 8 liters of water and you're fucking internally drowning, there's fucking foam coming out of your mouth? Look at your piss, and if it's mildly yellow, just, you know, in between white and fucking black, then you're hydrated. You don't need to go any more, any less than that. Another way of looking at this is just how big are you? If you're a big guy and it's really hot climate, you might need, you know, 3 or 4 liters of water. If you're a smaller individual in a cold climate, 2 liters is the minimum. On a salt, water. I don't know why I put that there, but well, I know why I put it. I don't know why I said it that way. But anyway, salt. You need to be getting adequate salt intake. People are scared of salt because they think it makes you fat. No, it makes you hold some water retention, but that's a-okay. And don't go too overboard, because otherwise, yeah, you'll increase your blood pressure and shit. But generally, if you don't have enough salt in your system, you don't get enough minerals and electrolytes. And on top of that, make sure the salt that you're consuming is good quality salt. Don't have fucking table salt, this shit that has no fucking minerals in it, and it's gonna make you feel, well, fucking cramp up and feel like shit and have no energy and feel fucking severely dehydrated. You need salt in your water, or salt with your food. A good way of getting the salt is put it in your water, but you can also obviously just salt your fucking food. But pink salt and Himalayan salt, or Himalayan pink salt and fucking sea salt, not table salt. That shit is garbage. It doesn't do anything for you. I just like to salt the shit out of my meats until they're like, you know, I salt the taste, basically. Or you can salt the shit out of your food when you first start cooking it, so that it doesn't taste all that salty when you're eating it. And try to progressively overload your salt if you don't like salt much, or maybe put it in your water, or maybe put it in your water before you go to bed so you don't fucking piss yourself, and then you can sleep and get the previous video's sleep recovery benefits. Now, onto some of the things you want to avoid, or, you know, some of the things you want to fix some of these issues, is avoid inflammatory foods. The big 3, right? Sugar, refined sugar, is going to be inflammatory and fuck up your joints and give you candida and leaky gut and all fucking sorts of things. And when you are higher inflammatory response, your joints hurt and you can't train as frequently and you're more likely to get injured. And you're just generally less healthy. There's cascading effects. Then wheat, same thing. It can give you a bunch of inflammatory effects. A lot of wheat-based foods don't have anywhere as much nutrients as, say, bread versus, potatoes. They're typically higher in calories too if you're trying to lose weight. Dairy is another one. I mean, even if you're not lactose intolerant, it's doing some damage, unless you're like some fucking Swedish Aryan motherfucker who has the genetics of the original Aryans that, like, you know, started drinking cow milk 3,000 years ago. If you're like a dude from Africa, probably don't fucking drink your dairy. Even if you're not lactose intolerant, it's going to be doing some damage. Shit ain't worth it. Unless maybe you're getting raw milk or some shit, or you're going up to some, never mind. So yeah, those big three. If you're having any inflammatory responses, you feel like shit, maybe lethargic, maybe you're just having a whole host of issues, try removing those three things and see what happens. I mean, dairy for acne is a big one too. Whole bunch of things, a bunch of different responses you're going to get from inflammatory, acne, joint pain, depression, irritable bowel syndrome, which is then kind of the next point, which is fix your gut. Part of how you fix your gut is avoid these foods so you don't get leaky gut syndrome and inflammatory responses within your gut, which then fucks your serotonin production, etc. If your serotonin's low, it's going to be hard to train. All these things cascade. You want vitality. Higher vitality equates to more training and better recovery from training and better response from training. So fix your gut. Make sure that you're not eating these inflammatory foods. Then introduce or simultaneously introduce yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, probiotic foods that are going to fix your gut biome or your microgut biome, which will make you recover better. So avoid those foods, fix your gut, and then also bone broth. So consider foods like bone broth where you're getting collagen and gelatin, which will help with your connective tissues, which will make you recover better from training, be able to train more frequently, because muscles recover pretty quickly. But connective tissues not so much because less blood flow. So if you can get more collagen to a muscle, you're less likely to get tendinoses. You'll have more vibrant, nice skin. Anyway, bone broth's a good one, really cheap and easy, and that goes into the vertical diet. A lot of the things I'm already covering, if you just read the vertical diet, you won't even have to go over this section. Most of this shit's already. Now, last 2 points are kind of a twofer, but I'll start with pre-workouts first. Consider that if you're taking pre-workouts, there's something fucking off in your training factors or your outer training factors, or both perhaps, but outer training factors. Maybe you're not sleeping enough, maybe because you're taking a pre-workout before sleep. Hence my previous part 1, go watch that first if you haven't. If you're relying on pre-workouts, there's a good chance that something's off. You're eating too many inflammatory foods, if your stomach's fucked, you're not sleeping enough, your fucking nutrition shit, maybe you should just have a pre-workout meal instead. Maybe if you did the 4 horsemen of pre-workout nutrition, which I like to call basically, well, the way I look at it is you have a fast-acting carbohydrate like a sugar, so honey or fruits or both, in say oats, which is a slow-acting carbohydrate, so you get that insulin spike really quick, and then you kind of slow it out with those like slow-acting carbs like rice or oats, and then so you have a sustainable glycogen intake. When you're at the gym, you get a better pump, you have more force production. And then you stack that with some sodium, so you get, the sodium for electrolytes and water retention and a better pump also. Get that juicy vascularity. You mix that with some caffeine, but don't go crazy on a fucking pre-workout with 800 milligrams of fucking, caffeine and beta-alanine or some fucking weird pre-workout called, I don't know, Jihad fucking Gym Explosion 5000. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why do you need that, It's just stupid. You're overcompensating for something else. So maybe have a bit of caffeine, have a nice coffee, be a man about it. Don't drink some fucking red cordial pussy drink. Have a fucking dark, like a black coffee with fast, slow-acting carb with some salt. And if you want to add some extras to that, eat some fucking raw garlic. Get that nitric oxide boost. Eat some beetroots. Get that nitric oxide boost from there. Have a natural pre-workout. Trust me, if you go for those 6 things or 5 things, sodium, sugar, slow sugar, caffeine, and fucking garlic, you're gonna have a sick pre-workout. That's kind of it for nutrition. I could go longer, but it would be smaller and smaller benefits as I go, which is I'm gonna be at the end of this series where I talk about the smaller benefits you can stack. But really, I don't want to go overboard because that's all you really need to know now about nutrition. So catch you for the next fucking video.